In episode 153 for December 28th, 2020, my top 3 cybersecurity tips to keep you cyber secure in 2021. Next year, make yourself a resolution to take your digital privacy to the next level by using a Faraday sleeve for your smartphone, laptop, and key fobs. And if you want the best and highest quality privacy products on the market, you need Silent Pocket. Check out their full product line at silentpocket.com and be sure to use discount code SHAREDSECURITY at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
Is your team starting to show signs of fatigue from traditional security awareness compliance training or from phishing assessments that target them for those teachable moments? As we've seen in recent news, these kinds of training are having a negative impact on corporate culture and they're really not all that effective. So there has to be a better way. ClickArmor is the first gamified learning platform that helps build a self-defending team through engaging learning challenges and exercises. Its unique lesson templates, built with proven gamification techniques, let people learn and exercise important defensive concepts in a safe and fun environment. Whether you need to quickly deploy a training solution that gets people to stop clicking on things immediately, or you've got your own boring content that needs to be put into a more interesting user experience, ClickArmor can help. So go to clickarmor.ca/sharedsecurity to learn how to build a self-defending team.
Can you believe it's the last week of 2020 already? Finally, right? Well, it goes without saying that this year has been crazy. As I look back, the first couple months of this year, things were going great. I was traveling overseas, going to conferences, and having meetings, actually in person. Then in March, everything came to a halt with the global pandemic and the uncertainty of, well, everything, and not only in our personal lives, but how we all work and communicate with each other. All of a sudden, many of us found ourselves in unfamiliar territory, like working from home, and we've all had to deal with situations we really haven't had to deal with before, such as kids and significant others all working from home too. And on top of all that, we've seen an unprecedented number of data breaches, ransomware attacks, privacy concerns, and hacks, including the massive SolarWinds debacle, which, by the way, seems like the most appropriate way to end the year that was 2020. So for my last episode this year, I want to get back to basics and share with you my top 3 cybersecurity tips. And while we don't know what the future may hold for next year, I will say that following these 3 tips, you'll be much more secure. So without further ado, let's get to my first tip, which is to get rid of those throwaway weak passwords and always use a password manager to automatically generate a complex and unique password for every site, app, and service that you use. Look, password managers have really evolved over the years. In fact, Apple and other major tech companies have even built in password managers into their operating systems, and even the free versions of popular apps like LastPass are making managing passwords easier than it's ever been. So it doesn't matter what password manager you choose, just use something. As I've talked about on the show with countless examples of data breaches and cyber attacks week after week, weak and guessable passwords is still the #1 way that people and organizations get hacked. Unfortunately, next year will not be the end of the password, so remember that good password management starts with you. And related to passwords, let's make it a habit to always enable two-factor authentication wherever it's available. This year in particular, I saw more and more apps and websites putting in two-factor authentication options for their users. But the problem is many of us don't even know that these options are available. So do yourself a favor and look for the option to enable two-factor authentication, starting with the sites, services, and apps that you use the most. And if you don't see a two-factor option, it's not a bad idea to contact that company asking when they plan on doing so. Lastly, while I always recommend using app-based two-factor authentication like Duo, Authy, or Microsoft Authenticator, don't shy away from the older and more traditional text message-based two-factor authentication because any two-factor authentication is better than none. My second tip is to keep all your devices patched and updated. This includes your smartphone, laptop, and all of those Internet of Things devices, if of course they have the ability to be updated. As we've seen countless times this year, vulnerabilities are always being exploited by attackers. So, one of the best defenses you can do is to always keep your devices up to date so that you don't fall victim to an attack. So, the next time you see Windows Update or your smartphone prompt you to install that latest update, take the time to do so, which will add another layer of defense to your device. Now, my last tip is, in my opinion, the most important, and that's to think before you click. This means don't just blindly click on links in email or text messages. And even if a message is from someone you trust, take a second to think if anything looks odd, out of place, or seems fishy. Trust your gut, and if something seems off, it probably is. My advice is to always verify strange emails or texts that come from people you trust through another method like calling them on the phone or sending them a message through another app or email. Here's another tip. Phishing, whether that's by email, phone, or text message, is the most common way that your passwords and other sensitive data can be compromised. Remember, phishing attacks and scams typically use a sense of urgency and take advantage of the fact that we're all human and, well, are emotional creatures and sometimes act on our emotions. That's why we all need to take a few seconds to stop and think before clicking that link. Now, before I go, I want to thank all of you for listening, watching us on YouTube, and supporting our show and sponsors this year. And I also want to wish you and your family a new year that's safe and secure. That's all for this week's show. Be sure to follow the Shared Security Show on Twitter and Instagram for the latest news and show updates. If you like this episode, please hit that like and subscribe button, and be sure you subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the Shared Security Show.